Hello, welcome back to Marta's Planning Mess. I'm going to give you a weekly update on my worship planner. This is an N1, just a booklet. It's a full year booklet, and I didn't really want one that big, but I wanted this beautiful mulberry color, so I compromised and got a bigger one, and it's been very pretty, and I've been very happy with it, but it is kind of chunky. And just for anyone that's curious, this is the N2. So you can see it's just a little bit bigger, and this would be a Hobonichi week size. Okay, so because it was a booklet, I had to make up my own spreads, and this is the first time I've had one of these do this. It's split right down here, like the first page, second page, and this is kind of the cover peeling back. I haven't tried gluing it. That would maybe help, but anyway, for some reason it didn't hold together really good. I started this in March, and I was using a really tiny, the Hobonichi Techo Avec because it was small and thin, but it was way too small, so I had to abandon that after 2 months. So this is, I made myself a calendar, and I was keeping track of certain things about what I was doing with my worship time. And so I did that the first couple months. I didn't take the time to do the whole year. But you can see eventually I did this. I got this spread idea from Happy Planner. They have the classic, what do they call it? Narrow? It's like basically it's the half a width of a B5 size, pretty close, and it's a little taller than this book, but about the width of this book. And they don't have a 2-page monthly spread. They just have like the numbers, kind of a date system, like you have at the beginning of this book. It would have like the month in this kind of format, and then on the side it would have all of these dates and just a little line to write down, something significant on the date. And so that was what I started using as a worship planner long ago. Several years I've used those, and they worked really good. As much as I love disc planners, there's so many advantages to them. I don't like carrying them around because the discs get caught on things, and I was wanting something I could slide in and out of my Bible cover so I could take it with me to church, and it was annoying to have the discs. So that's what made me switch to bound books. So anyway, so they would have 1 through 30 or 31 on this page with a little line. So that's what gave me the idea. Hey, just do that and save yourself some time. This is a strip of washi. I don't know if you can see it well, but it's just like the numbers. And so that was pretty easy. And I was trying to mark where my Mondays were, and I was marking before them rather than the line of them, which was throwing me off. So that's why you see 2 different sets of lines. But I went all the way through December, and then I left myself a blank space, and I thought, let's go into prayer requests. And so this is like an overview of prayer requests, kind of generalized people I was praying for, just different things. I was printing off pictures of people that needed prayer, and I really love doing this, unfortunately. And then these are all the ones I had written down. I cut these out of my Hobonichi Techo. I got one of those little weekly inserts, and I was using that for prayer requests. So I cut those out and pasted those in. But because I didn't really think through how this would work, then I just jumped in with doing my journaling, and then I'm ran out of room to do prayer requests, so then I started inserting them into the pages. Let's see where that starts. Obviously I went a while before I had to do that. Okay, here's one. Started putting these stickers in, which is fine. I like how that looks. The problem with that for me, see, here's some prayer requests. The problem for me was that when I'm praying, I don't want to jump around through the book while I'm praying. Oh, and let's look at the next set. Oh, let's look at the next set. I wanted them all kind of in a precise area. So here's days of prayer, So anyway, but that was what I was doing. And I was using up some fun stickers and I was enjoying it. I like how it looked, but it wasn't as efficient. So eventually I gave up on doing that. But anyway, this is kind of where I was journaling my prayers and my study thoughts, and like sermon notes. So that's all of that stuff. And this is kind of where I'm at today. Now, when I finally realized I didn't want to do the prayer request section that way, I decided I would work in the back of the book. So I thought this book would last like a year, but I think it's going to last longer than a year. So I started with from the back and just figuring out forward, week 27. I gave myself a page for prayer requests, 28, 29, and all the way through to the end. So that will finish off this year, but I think I'll still have a good amount of book left. So then I was like, now what do I do? So I went back to the beginning to where 27 was, and I started doing it backwards, which may seem counterintuitive, but because I'm just using a page per week, it ended up working out fine. So here's January. This will be 2026. And I'm writing down, I gave myself a section for each day and a place to write down. This would be like what I studied. And then the first week of January 2026 is here. So I've got week 1, I've got the date, what it would be, and then here's a place for like all the prayer requests I have that week. Here's week 2. And so it just goes on, and then as you get between 5 and 6 is where I'm going to have my, there's February. So I just did that all the way through July, I think. Yeah. And I don't know if I will if I'll need to add some for August, because basically I'm working this way with my journaling and I'm working this way with my weekly spreads, but I think it's working out quite nicely. So this, I have yet to find a planner system that will work well for what I want to do with this, with it being bound. And so I think when I use up this book, I will get another one, and I will start either with the prayer requests, probably the prayer request stuff in the back. I'm working this direction, and then my journaling and working this direction. And whenever they meet, they meet. And that's when the book ends and you start another one, because I just can't find one that's pre-printed that's going to work with that format, because if I'm studying something that has a lot of notes to it, I'm going to write a lot, and if I don't, then I'm not going to, and I don't want to be bound by a section. I don't want to blank spaces. I don't want to have any of that stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at with that, because you can see some sections are longer than others. I did make a small tweak into my format, and that was feeling like I really wanted to add. So I started doing not only a morning worship where I was doing like Bible study, like a certain Bible chapter, but I was also looking for to do an evening worship and to have a different book that I was studying. So okay, these are all sermon notes. So this is my first one. So this one, I don't think I did a morning worship, but I did. I wanted to add a gratitude section, and then here is my notes from my evening reading. And so here's how it goes for the next day. This one, this is my morning section. This is actually my evening section. And here's my gratitude. And so this was a morning and this was a gratitude. And then did I not do evening, or did I change pages? I guess I didn't do an evening one that day. So here's this one. So like my morning is here, my gratitude, and then here is my evening section. And I'm doing the gratitude in the morning. So that's that. And then Friday, and then Saturday, I usually I do Friday evening we had company, so I didn't take the time to do evening worship. Saturday I didn't take any notes in church because I had company coming in. We had a memorial service in the afternoon we had to run off to. I actually came home during church time and listened to it online while I was getting my food ready. And so that, because I was listening, I wasn't taking notes, which is unusual for me. And then I haven't done anything today. But anyway, that's a new format that I'm using that I'm liking, and it's working well for me. So anyway, that's just some ideas of things you can do. The other thing that I'm doing is planner based. My books doesn't want to stay in. I just got a new cover for this because when I ordered this, I ordered accidentally, instead of getting an N1 clear cover, I got an A5 slim clear cover, which why I would have picked that instead of what I was supposed to get, I don't know. But because it was a little bit big, I ended up just like on the back side cutting it and splicing it together with tape, which worked fine for a while, but then the goo from the tape was coming out and getting sticky and making a mess, and I eventually just threw it out and went coverless, and that worked fine too. This held up fine, other than the binding issue that I showed you at the beginning, which happened very early on into owning it. Nothing else has really gone wrong with this, and it would do fine without a cover. But with my last order, I went ahead and got another cover for it to protect it and keep it nice. But anyway, that's what I'm doing in this. And so my second thing that I'm doing, which I probably showed you before, but just to give you an update. So I've got 2 old Hobonichi cousins from 2024. And they are laid out so that I've got the whole year worth of mapped out of where I would journal about a specific chapter of the Bible. So here in the index section is where I'm doing it. So I just finished Ezra. I need to put my dates in here. I just finished up Ezra on Friday. And so this will tell you like where it is. So it is August, and it's the beginning of August. So let's go where August is. March, April, here's August. So it started actually the last day of July for Ezra 1. So there it is. And then just the notes that I'm taking from that, any insights I have. And then that was Ezra 2, not as much to write about. 3, 4, 5. So you can see this is going through. And these are just like, basically it's my own personal Bible commentary that I'm making for myself. So here's Nehemiah, but I'm not doing Nehemiah next. I'm going to do, I think I picked Joel. So I think I'm going to bounce around between history and prophecy and New Testament, and just kind of jump around like that so I can get through the Bible without getting bogged down in any one thing. Because not like the minor prophets and even the major prophets can be a little overwhelming to get through. And if I have to do one after the other, I could lose interest. So I'm choosing to jump around like that. So my next, I'm going to go to Joel, and I don't remember if it's in this book or not. I may need to get out my book too. Let's see. Yeah, it will be, because this one ends at the end of Psalms. So the prophets are after Psalms. So I'll need to switch out to book B. I did write the starting date. I started this project in 2025, and I'm curious, like, if you want to read the Bible in a year, you need to cover 3 to 4 chapters a day. That's kind of the standard. And I'm just basically doing 1 chapter a day. So this could take 3 to 4 years. So I'm curious, how long it's going to take me. When I get done with this, then I will be on to something else, maybe a whole series of verse mapping. I've toyed with that, and I have a whole book actually that I made up for every verse in the Bible, so I could track which ones I'd done. And anyway, I like mapping things out and tracking things clearly. So that's possibly another thing I'm going to do. But anyway, that's kind of how I'm using planners in my worship, my daily worship, and it is making it more meaningful. And when I organize my ideas and my thoughts and make it easy to reference, then I feel like it's more useful than just filling a notebook full of scribbles, because I've taken notes for sermons and Bible study on and off my whole life, but I don't feel like I have any. I would go back, and where would I find anything? It's overwhelming. Like, maybe if I want to sit down and reread it, but would I ever do that? Probably not. So hopefully this will make this into a very nice, useful tool, because I'll be like, hey, we're studying Romans 12. Let's look up what I thought about it the last time I read it. And this can hopefully be something that is a useful tool in my future Bible study, and just to kind of get an idea of where I'm learning and growing in different areas of my life. And not last week, but the week before, the sermon, which is where I started thinking, hey, I wanted to do some more gratitude. The notes on this, I have a lot, and it was going over, let's see, Proverbs 6. So the 7 things that God hates. And so I want to take these notes and transfer them into my book B that has all of Proverbs in it. And I can just take the highlights from this and put that in there. So when I get around to reading Proverbs in my, as I'm jumping around from book to book, then I will have this in there already. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that sermon. That was really cool. I really got a lot out of that. So that's, yeah, I'm glad that these are going to be more useful. And I am really frustrated. Look at that. I'm going to need to find some glue and see if I can fix this, because having to adjust this cover every time I open and close it is going to be really frustrating. How disappointing, because otherwise, normally these books hold up really well. This is unusual for it to fall apart like this, but like I said, it happened very early on, and it hasn't really gotten terribly much worse, but now that I have a clear cover on it, that's putting stress on it. Interesting. All right. Hopefully this was helpful and gave you some ideas of things you can do to track your Bible study and worship.